Hello children over 30, it's Drew back here with another product review, and today we're talking about the 2017 Rollerblade Metroblade C. Shout out to Chamie Simiyu for helping me get a pair of these. Alright, so let's go over some tech specs. So these are now coming with Rollerblade Supreme wheels. They're an 80mm 85A full profile. They're nice and fat. You can see that. Not really the bullet profile that you see on a lot of big wheels these days, including the hydrogen wheel. And the bearings are Rollerblade's SG7s, which are very fast. They're really fast for stock bearings. Overall, I like this combination of wheels and bearings quite a bit. It's a very fast roll. It's a very secure, powerful feeling stride, again with the 85A full profile wheel. It grips a lot, so when you're striding you can really feel all of your energy being transferred out into the ground. It's not that kind of slip slidey situation that you get with some wheels. As far as wear, these really aren't too bad. I would say they wear a little bit faster than like a hydrogen or an undercover or something that's generally known for being a great quality wheel. But overall, for stock wheels, I would put these in the upper echelon of that. Like, they're really not bad at all. Of course, with the full profile, like I mentioned, they are very grippy and sure-strided and all that, and that's awesome for cruising around and stuff. For little, like, dancey type things, like, gazelles and, all that stuff, full profile wheels aren't really ideal for that. That requires a lot of edge manipulation, and when your edges are this fat, it's kind of hard to get around that. But with your typical rec city urban skater person in mind, I think the decision to go with a full profile wheel on these was probably a really good one. I think the vast majority of people are gonna have more fun with a full profile wheel just because they're not as picky. Like, you can roll over stuff like bricks and all that a little bit easier. There's a video of me like bombing a hill in these, no problem. And again, very secure, powerful feeling stride. So, what that translates into is a very fast rolling skate. These are probably faster. In fact, I know that they're faster than the Wizard setups that I've been skating lately. Which, on a note about these bearings, I've had the SG7s, I've had the SG9s. Both of them are pretty nice, pretty fast. I like them. But they have this thing where, given enough heat over time, or if they get wet, they're really leaky of the lubrication within the bearings. So they get that kind of clicky, like thirsty kind of bearing sound really fast. So I'm guessing maybe the grease they use isn't that thick, or the sealing on these isn't that great. If I was into doing bearing maintenance, there would be no other reason for me to get any other bearings, because like I said, these are super cheap to buy. I think you can get a 16-pack of SG9s for like $30, and they'll roll just as fast as bearings that cost 2 or 3 times as much. But just the whole maintenance factor, like, I hate doing maintenance, so as soon as these start clicking, which they already kind of are, like, I'm already scoping out other bearings. Still, overall, I would say for a stock bearing, like, again, they're pretty good. I really like K2's twin cam ILQ9s. I've been fortunate enough to find those for about $35, so only $5 more than, the SG9s. But that's like the one exception. Most skates out there come with really bad wheels and bearings. So the fact that these are, I would give them probably like a 7.5 out of 10. Like, that's pretty good, actually. The frames themselves, these are an aluminum 243mm extruded frame. They do have the racing axle, so they screw in on one side, not on the other. That makes them extremely fast to switch out wheels and rotate your wheels in and stuff like that. Also extremely light. These frames and the skates in general weigh like close to nothing. Like, I'm always taken aback by just like how light they are. It's insane. I can't say how much objectively better or worse these are than the frames that come on the Metroblade GMs. I know that those are supposed to be a little bit nicer, but again, like, I've had no problems with these. Like, the hardware stays locked in there nice and tight. They're really sturdy feeling. With the 165 mount, they have a good amount of room for adjustment, both left and right and up and down. There's a little bit up and down. It's mostly left and right, but even so, like, easily the fastest frame I've ever rolled on. These are the fastest skates that I've ever skated, like, straight out of the box, no mods, no nothing. These are fast. If you look though, you can see that as far as the vertical adjustment. Well, the lateral adjustment, I thought I could hang with a frame that was like right in the middle of my foot because I've, done a decent amount of ice skating and stuff like that. Turns out I have to have that aggressive kind of alignment where it's maybe 1/8 of an inch toward the inside of your foot. I don't know. I guess most of my time in life has been spent on aggressive skates, so that's just how I skate. That's how my feet want to see skates, is with that frame adjusted over a little bit. But with the vertical movement up and down, man, 243, it seems like, and I think the rec skating world is a little bit worse about this, but companies tend to think that, like, however big all your wheels are put together, that's how long the frame should be. So, with 480 millimeter wheels, of course, you take half of measurement off each side and it ends up being 243 with a millimeter gap in between. But the thing is, like, a wheelbase of 243 millimeters is not that big, and it's not ideal for a lot of foot sizes. Like, regardless of how big the wheels are, some people with bigger feet want to skate 80s instead of 90s, or 76s instead of 100s, or et cetera, et cetera. But the 243 frame on this boot, which is 9.5, and if I measure my foot, it's approximately like 273 millimeters, something like that, 272. That's a big disparity between 243 and 273. Like, that's 3 fucking centimeters. Like, imagine if the soles of your shoes were 1.5 centimeters too short at the heel and toe, and then you were expected to go, like, run around and jump off shit in them. Like, it would be absurd. Like, nobody would ever take that seriously. But for some reason, we're still stuck there with, to my knowledge, 100% of the 80 millimeter frames. Like, there's not anybody that makes like a good 265, 260, even like a 258 80 millimeter frame. I mean, if you go up to 84 millimeter wheels, then they'll give you like a 255, which again, I feel is a little bit short for a foot that's like 275. If you go up to 90, of course, that's 273. But again, I'm not always trying to skate 90 millimeter wheels. Like, wheels that big, they take, a special kind of boot and a special kind of really vision for skating that's, not always what people are gonna want. So on this note, I would really like it if the rec skating world would maybe take a cue from, some of the other types of skating where, the length of your blade or your wheelbase or whatever you have it is usually within like 1 centimeter-ish of the total length of your foot. I mean, that's a really good, solid feeling. Lately, I've been messing around on frames that, well, one of them's 260 and the other one's about 263. And again, even with like 1 centimeter difference, that's only 5 millimeters at the toe and heel. That still feels really nice. I actually like that feeling a little bit more than like a straight 273 because it's a little bit more agile. 243 when your foot's closer to 273 is not the most ideal. It's not the most secure feeling. If your goal is to get people into skating, giving them a wheelbase that's considerably smaller than their foot isn't gonna give them a good skating experience. So moving on up, this bottom base plate thing on this year's is a plastic composite material, which is different than the carbon fiber from the previous year, as well as on the GM. And this was a big kind of sticky point for me. I really wanted these, not just because they look super tight, but because I really like the idea of cheaper Metroblades, I guess. Like, this is a really stylish looking skate. I mean, I can see people who have no interest in skating whatsoever seeing these and saying, man, those look really dope, I want some. So, when to kind of vote with your dollars position, this is something I want to support. Like, I want to see a Metroblade that's like $180, $170 next year. I think that would be dope. I think it would get a lot of people to buy skates that wouldn't buy skates otherwise. But that carbon fiber, I mean, it's just like a fundamental building material, So I ended up talking to Justin from One Blade Mag about it because he'd skated both of them. And he said that responsiveness in both skates was about the same-ish. The carbon fiber sole ones are very, very responsive in the way that you can just kind of twitch your foot and it'll accelerate you. Downside of that being on some rougher terrain, rougher pavement and stuff like that, you're going to feel like everything. Whereas these, a little bit squishier on the bottom, not quite as responsive to every little movement that you give them, but, they're going to be generally more cushiony to ride around the city and stuff like that. The city that I live in, they don't put much money into streets and sidewalks or education or really anything else that I care about. So, I can't really count on that. So I decided to opt for the ones that give a little bit of a smoother ride. This little sole plate thing, man, I was jazzed as hell when I saw in the description that these came with an optional sole plate, which is what they're calling this. It's more like a skid protector, slide protector kind of thing, though it does go on the bottom. I kind of hate that they called this a sole plate because it just gives false hope to people like me who would love to use these to hit like a quick grind on something when they're out skating. I don't think it would be too difficult. I mean, given that the skid protector kind of wraps around on the bottom here, in fact, most of it's on the bottom. If you've ever seen like the first and second generation of Remedies skates or Rems back when they were called Remedies, they had this little heel wing that came down. And I think something like that would probably be perfect for a boot like this, just to give it that extra maybe 3/8 of an inch that it needs to compensate for the raised heel of the 165 mount. So I'll try to work something up and get back on that. But I don't think grinding on these and keeping the stock 165 frames on them is completely out of the question. Moving up a little bit more, the footbed that comes in these. This is what it looks like. This is what it says. It's probably about 5 millimeters thick throughout most of it. Pretty dense foam overall. I mean, it's not overly squishy by any means. It does get a little bit squishier in the heel, and there's a little bit of protrusion right there to minimize the little mount screw as much as possible. All in all, a pretty good footbed, like especially for stock. Don't count on it for like any arch support or anything like that. I mean, it's clearly like not designed to do that. But as far as something that's going to give you like a good, comfortable ride and, you can hit a moderate amount of jumps with them and not feel too bad, like this isn't really too bad of a footbed at all. First day I got them, of course, I went and just jumped off like a whole bunch of shit. And I think around the 4th or 5th shot at this, maybe 4 foot, about 4 foot to flat gap, I started to feel it quite a bit. So if you plan to jump off of a lot of stuff with these, probably going to have to put in a heel pad or something like that. But again, as far as like a stock footbed, these are pretty nice. I like them. As far as the boot itself, you'll notice that this is a non-removable liner. It's kind of a unimold piece. The base footbed in it, I think, is a little bit narrower than most rollerblade skates. I didn't really have too many problems with the TRS that I've skated, and the solos pinched a little bit at first and they kind of flexed out. These, such was not really the case. They are heat moldable. I would call Rollerblade and ask them for instructions on how to do that, and also make a note of it on your account or something like that. So, worst case scenario, if something happens, you can still get warranty out of it. But I went and had these heat molded and it helped a little bit. Ideally, I think I'd probably need to do it maybe 3 or 4 times for it to really take. But man, I was getting blisters like a motherfucker on these for a while. I mean, it's a really stiff boot, and there is some really good stiff, dense padding, but I mean, if your foot just doesn't match the shape, your foot's not gonna match the shape. So what I ended up doing was I got some yellow super feet and I put them just straight on top of the footbeds in here, and because of that little arch support, it thinned out that part of my foot just enough to where I wasn't getting the same blisters on sort of the inside of my arch that I was before, and it's just been a dream ever since. Like it's a really comfortable skate to roll around in. The liners, as I mentioned, I mean, it's not like the densest, it's not Intuition liner dense padding, but it certainly feels a little bit denser than most of your stock aggressive liners. Certainly still very comfortable. It gives your foot sort of that bed of pillows kind of feel. You just put it in there and it's like, oh, this is better than all my shoes. It's great. Stiffness of the boot, you'll notice it has a little V cut back here. I was talking to, I think, Leon about these, or maybe I heard it in a podcast, or maybe both, I don't remember. But he mentioned them feeling a little bit too much like an aggressive boot. That was really a big concern of mine when these were coming in, because I didn't want something that was going to be floppy, I mean, do you guys know that I like to do like weird little spins and shit? I mean, you need a good, stiff, supportive boot to do that kind of thing. Fortunately, these, in my opinion, delivered on that. I don't know, these aren't as stiff as like the Seba SX boot, but they are certainly more than stiff enough to keep up with a good 80mm wheel and, you know, give you all your edges and you just feel secure the whole time. Like it's a non-issue. I'm not sure how big a wheel I would feel comfortable going with on these. I think 84s would definitely be fine. I think 90s would definitely be fine. 100s is maybe pushing it. I know they just came out with like a 3-110 thing that they're kind of trying to push on this. And with that, I mean, generally, if you're on a 3-wheeled skate, you're not going to be doing a whole lot of swivels and stuff anyway. I mean, it's not the ideal setup for that. If you watch any slalom video out there done on like a 3-wheeled skate, they don't do anything that they couldn't do on like an anti-rocker setup. I mean, it's all just, you know, toe rolls and heel rolls or like a combination of the two. You know, maybe they get like a crazy in there, but I mean, nothing like impressive, nothing that's going to win any competitions. So if you're just out there striding, like trying to get from A to B, doing the commuter type thing, you know, even, you know, getting like a gentle slalom kind of motion in there, riding on your heels, I think it'd probably be fine for a 3-110 setup. But I'm not sure that this is the ideal boot to do like that big of a wheel. I could be wrong, but for me, this boot feels like it's optimized for between like an 80 to 90mm wheel. I think anywhere in that range, you're going to have an awesome time and the boot's going to be right there with you 100% of it. Bonus point to that, other than the Sebatrix and this, I don't know a lot of really stiff supportive boots that have the V-cut in the back that give you that extra bit of like free motion. I mean, it's a very nice feeling to have like freedom where you want it and security when you want it. You know, there's not a lot of boots out there that are going to give you that. This is definitely one of them, at least for me. The actual enclosures on the front, you see it has like these 2 Velcro straps, so there's no buckles anywhere. This is awesome. Buckles suck, especially for people that are just getting into skating. Like if you see somebody put on rollerblades for the first time and try to manage a buckle, it's hilarious. And then they end up like doing it too tight and it just like cuts off the circulation to their calves and they just have a bad experience and then they can't get it off because they tightened it all the fucking way. So there's no way to get the buckle off other than like with a screwdriver fucking prying the thing off. Nobody wants to do that. It also, you know, with the buckle feels like, at least for me, it takes more time to really get them dialed in each time. Like I'll put on skates and roll around for a little bit and then I'll adjust my buckles and then maybe like 10-15 minutes later I'll, you know, adjust my buckles again. All my Velcro strap skates have been just put them on, strap them tight and just go. Like maybe an hour and a half into the sesh I may tighten them just a little bit, but other than that, no, they always feel great. So I love that they went with the straight Velcro straps on these. I will mention that on the GMs and last year's Cs, they had removable Velcro straps, which if this is a skate that you want to last for like the next 6 years or something like that, 4 to 6 years, I would probably opt for a model that has that. Velcro just doesn't last forever. Buckles don't last forever. There's not a lot that can break on the skate. That's probably one of the only things that can. So again, based on that, you know, that should sort of inform your decision one way or the other. Because of the kind of shape of this, it's kind of low cut, and then the Velcro strap on the top is pretty high relative to the boot, actually. It's almost all the way to the top. You don't get, if you strap it down tight all the way, you don't get as much forward flex as maybe a lot of people are used to. Especially, I've been skating Solomon aggressive skates a lot lately, and those things just flex forward until your face hits the ground almost. I mean, it's crazy. So when I put these on, I'll generally have my foot leaned a little bit so my ankle's already forward in sort of like the forward flex position, and then strap them down tight all the way, and it's like brilliant from there on out. Like it's still plenty supportive. I still have everything I need, you know, plus the little bit of forward flex that you don't get from strapping these down 100% all the way. For some additional support, if you need it, these are a really good skate to do the hockey wrap thing around the back. They flex at this point, you know, relatively easily. So if you get that extra couple wraps of laces around there, you can get some extra tightness in there, which can be nice, especially if you're rocking like a super, super loose top strap. For me, it wasn't really necessary, but I know enclosures and all that is a very personal thing for a lot of people. Like any skate, you're going to have to take a couple days and figure out the little nuances of like how it encloses your foot and how it hugs your foot and how your foot responds to those different things, and you know, whether you like them or not. So just something to watch out for when you put these on for the first time. Like don't immediately write them off, because you tighten the top Velcro strap all the way with your legs straight up and down and kind of lean forward a little bit and thought, oh, I can't fucking lean forward in these. They must suck. It's like, no, you just have to figure it out. One possible solution to this, and I'm not saying that I'm an expert in anything related to skates or really anything else. I just don't want to complain about a problem and not give a possible solution. But I was thinking maybe like on Shadows, you know, they have that like 2-point Velcro strap that meets in the middle, and I think they use that to give it a little bit more forward flex. Might not be a bad idea on this boot. So overall impressions before I get into the sort of podcasty anecdote sort of part of this. I freaking love these skates, man. These are awesome. They weigh close to nothing. Like the boot itself is lighter than the Seba SX boot, which is carbon fiber. Like how is that even possible? They roll extremely, extremely fast. It's a good, secure feeling. Like there's really not much more that I could ask for out of a rec skate. They look super stylish. I really hope that Rollerblade keeps making them because I love them, man. I think they're great. So I got these, I don't know, I think it's weird to think of myself as an aggressive skater because I enjoy like every type of skating that I've ever done, you know, and I give most of them pretty equal priority, you know, barring like quad skating, and I mean, I don't play hockey, and I don't really know anybody that's into slalom, so I kind of experiment with it here and there, but I can't just like go out and have a cone sesh like I can like a P-rail sesh, or like, you know, a city skate or something like that. So it doesn't happen as much as I wish it did. But most of my experience with skates has been with aggressive skates. I mean, I got my first pair way back in the day, probably, I think around like 97, 98 or something like that. The RB Squads, man, they were like some green and brown, like big RB hard boots. And pretty much ever since then, all I've had is aggressive skates. So, you know, getting into big wheeling and stuff like that, I really wanted to check out what rec skates had to offer that I was missing. So, I mean, like the 165 frame mount, you know, I thought it was really cool that it had a lot of lateral adjustment and a little bit of, you know, back and forward adjustment. Coming off a winter of ice skating, I got so addicted to being on good figure skates, and when I would dig my heels in for like a good slalom and push myself, man, I would just go for like ever. Like the glide was incredible, and I wanted to take that experience everywhere else, you know, which on aggressive skates wasn't, you know, super possible. Like they're not designed for power transfer and stuff like that. Like they're made to do grinds and take a lot of falls, take a lot of abuse. I mean, it's a different skate. It's a different demand of skate. It's a whole different thing. So I was talking to Chammy one day, and he was like, yeah, man, I can get you pretty good, healthy discount on some Metroblades if you want to check them out. So I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And yeah, man, since like the first time I put them on, like it's just a different world of skate, and it's something that you really have to experience to understand. And I will say that it's not the same as being on the ice in a good figure skate, and when you dig your heels in, you just go for frickin' ever. It's the closest I've ever experienced, but, you know, just physics-wise and everything else, like there are too many factors at play to have that experience on an uncontrolled environment, you know, with something that's mechanically more complex. Like there's just too many factors at play. But to restate, it is definitely the closest I've ever experienced to that. Like, again, they're just so light and fast, and I mean, when you like move your foot, like you feel it, and it's a great skating experience. It's the kind of setup that just reminds you how fun just the action of skating is. Like even, you know, if you're not at the skate park, like working on spins or airs or gaps or anything like that, beyond that, if you even take out like the footwork aspect, like 3 turns and all that stuff, just the act of skating around and seeing new places, new terrain, you know, interacting with people kind of as you're out and around the town. It's just fun, you know, and as much as it's popular or cool or whatever to shit on like the old style rec skate edits where they just took a dude and put him in a really nice location and he just skated fast through it and they filmed it. But when you experience a skate like this, like it really makes sense. Maybe not to watch it to such a degree. I mean, if you find something aesthetically pleasing, you find it aesthetically pleasing. And if you don't, you don't. And it's kind of like a pointless thing to argue. Like, you're not going to talk somebody into thinking something is visually appealing most of the time. But experiencing it and, going super fast and weaving through alleys between buildings and parking garages and bombing big like grass hills and stuff like that, it's just it's a lot of fun. These overall have been a great addition to my overall skating experience world. I objectively have more fun when I go rec skate on these than I have on like any other setup. I do plan at some point to, well, first I gotta hook up that little sole piece in the back because, again, Roots as an aggressive skater, like, what are you gonna do? And I want to find the longest, like, 84 millimeter frame that I can. I'm hoping for somewhere around 260, maybe a little bit longer than that. Hoping also it's not from Power Slide because I've heard really bad things about their frames lately. But I think like an 80-84 rockard setup on this, once worn in sufficiently to where you get like a good 3-wheel down kind of situation, would just be like incredibly, incredibly fun. Plus, catering toward my individual taste, I, of course, am going to end up putting some bullet profiled wheels on these so I can do all the spins and, all the fun little dancy things that I like to do. And on that note, it's kind of difficult for me to think of who I wouldn't recommend this skate to. Just yesterday, I was out at the park with my friend, and he wanted to try out my new aggressive setup because it was a flat setup, and he's used to skating anti. And he immediately had a lot of fun doing it. I can't imagine how much fun he would have on a skate like this, being so just light and powerful and agile and, all of the positive adjectives that you associate with a good, pure skating experience. Somebody that's just getting into it, and has sort of made the commitment, okay, I'm going to spend a decent amount of money and get in some good skates that are going to give me a good skating experience. This is the skate that I would recommend them. People who currently ice skate and want to get into inline skating. My figure skating coach recently has started blading with me. I got him some Solomons. And man, I just know that he would have a ton of fun on these. I think they're kind of loosely based off of hockey boots. So as far as, analogies to an ice skate, like this and maybe the Sebatrix would be the closest to that. So end of the day, bottom line, if you're looking for something that's going to give you a good skating experience, it's going to be light, it's going to be agile, you're going to be able to feel your strides, super fast, controlled, and super stylish to the point that it makes people that don't like skates want skates. These are them.